What's up, it's KC. Welcome to episode 5 of Dragonball Debunked. Today, all I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into all Dragonball series. From Dragon Ball to GT, I'm going to tell you what I like about them. So I hope you enjoy this video because it took me a long time. I took a bunch of notes and it took me a while to construct this video the way that I wanted to. That's why I held off on it for so long. Here we go. Let's start off by talking about the original, Dragon Ball. A true masterpiece filled with a combination of adventure, great fighting scenes, likable characters, and emotionally charged moments. This story revolves around finding the Dragon Balls for many reasons. Bulma, who wanted the perfect boyfriend, Goku, who just wanted to tag along for adventure, Commander Red, who wanted to be tall and rule the world, and King Piccolo, who wanted eternal youth. It also has a lot of funny moments as well. Goku searching for a woman for Master Roshi, bringing back a mermaid, a big old ugly fat woman, and a psycho like Launch who has two different personalities. Another funny moment is Yamcha sneaking into Bulma's room and looking for the Dragon Balls, filling up on her, and it turns out to be Bulma naked, and he goes into shock. And who can forget the classic moment where Goku removes Bulma's panties and he screams, he says, "Your balls are gone, your balls are gone," and Bulma jumps up looking for the Dragon Balls. She had no idea what Goku was talking about. I loved it. This series is filled with a lot of memorable and likable characters as well, such as Goku, Yamcha, Tien, Bulma, Roshi, Launch, and even Oolong. People who bring something new to each episode. We also see a lot of character developments in this series as we see young Goku grow up and mature to become a great fighter. Some things never change. We also watch Bulma learn to care about other people because she was a self-centered little brat. All she cared about was herself at the beginning of the series, so it's nice to see her actually care about other people for once. We also got to see how smart this woman is as we see her create so many different machines, the Dragon Ball radar, and so many things that helps Goku along the way in his adventures. We got to see what Krillin was made of, proving himself and becoming a great fighter as well. We also got to see Yamcha and Tien become good guys. This series has its fair share of sad moments as well, with the deaths of Chaozu, Krillin, Roshi, and Upa's father. But we also got to see Goku see his grandfather one more time. His grandfather Gohan that was smashed to death by him when he became the great Azaru, and he got to have one last match against this man. And of course the epic fights, with Goku against General Blue, Goku against Jackie Chan, Goku against Major Metallitron, Goku versus King Piccolo, Yamcha versus Tien, Goku versus Tien, and Piccolo Jr. The fight list goes on and on. Dragon Ball is a total package. That's why I love it. So we move on to Dragon Ball Z, and we get to watch Goku become a grown man and become the strongest fighter on Earth, creating his own family along with Chi-Chi, as they have Gohan and Goten later on in the series. The thing is about Dragon Ball is that it's more focused on fighting than it is about the adventure and the Dragon Balls. In fact, after the Saiyan Saga and the Frieza Saga, the Dragon Balls were pretty much phased down. In fact, the only time that the focus was actually on the Dragon Balls was when Vegeta wanted to collect them to become immortal so that he can continue to fight to be stronger and to take on Frieza. Frieza wanted it so that he could be immortal and continue to terrorize the universe. Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma went to Namek specifically to find the Dragon Balls so that they can revive Chaozu, Tien, Yamcha, and Piccolo. Towards the Frieza Saga, they used both sets of Dragon Balls, the Namekian Dragon Balls and the Earth's Dragon Balls, to wish back the Namekians and everybody who was killed by Frieza, and to transport everybody off Namek to planet Earth so that Goku and Frieza could finish their fight. And that was pretty much the last time the Dragon Balls were actually relevant. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it just proves that the series was transitioning and it was becoming more mature for the audiences. They did, however, add two new concepts once the next saga started with Trunks, the Cyborg Saga, and Cell himself. These two concepts include time travel and multiple timelines. This series has even more character developments than its predecessor. As we watch young Gohan reach his full potential as a Super Saiyan 2, We watch Goku learn the importance of family as he bonds with his son, trains with him, and spends time with his family. Kami realizing that Piccolo has changed and has a pure heart since he became friends with Gohan, fusing with him and becoming the nameless Namek, making Piccolo even more powerful than he's ever been. We learned about future Trunks in the timeline that he lives in, and how he and Cell helped create 4 different timelines. And similar to Bulma, we watched Vegeta show compassion and love for his son after Trunks died, which is a turning point for Vegeta's character. We learn about Lapis and Lazuli, also known as Cyborg 17 and 18, and how they managed to change their destiny and become a good girl and a good guy. We also learn about Cell, how he's created and how he was created by all the cells of the strongest fighters in the universe. And the most important of this saga, Goku passing the torch to his son as he defeats Cell. The Majin Buu saga introduced us to mystical and magical concepts with the wizards Bibbidi and Bobbidi, demons like Deborah and Buu himself, and gods like Supreme Kai, Kibito Kai, and Old Kai. A lot of things have changed as we entered the 7 years peace before Majin Buu was even hatched. Some things changed for the better and some things changed for the worse. Gohan's character fluctuated throughout this arc. As he was no longer the strongest fighter on Earth, he stopped training for the 7 years peace. He went to school. However, at the end of this arc, he becomes Mystic Gohan and redeems himself. Goku, who is the main character of the series, has been dead for 7 years, but he was granted one day on Earth to see his friends and family once again, after giving his life against Cell. Vegeta's character continued to evolve as he continued to walk that line between evil and good. He let his pride and obsession consume him, and he became Majin Vegeta in order to free himself from emotion and attachment to his family so that he could focus on fighting Goku and Goku only, making people think that he fell off that line onto the side of evil. But at the same time, we see him commit the ultimate act of selflessness by giving his life to take out Majin Buu. We learn a lot of new techniques in this saga, such as the Super Saiyan 3 form that Goku used. We learned about the Potara fusion and Metamorese fusion, which brought us Gotenks and Vegito. We also learn about the absorption ability, which Majin Buu uses to absorb different enemies to expand his power. Just like Dragon Ball Z also has its fair share of sad moments as well. If you're a good guy in the Dragon Ball Z universe, you have died at least once, to the point to where it's comical because it's ridiculous how many times they've been wished back. All in all, even though Dragon Ball Z phased down the Dragon Balls and adventure, it kept the real concepts of likable characters, character developments, and great stories. So we move on to Dragon Ball GT. Some people like it, some people hate it, but it did have some good concepts in the show, and it also had some adventure, a lot that Dragon Ball Z, at least the end of it, was missing. As Goku, Pan, and Trunks travel to different worlds to fight different enemies and to find the Black Star Dragon Balls, we also get good enemies like Baby, Super 17, which I wish he had a longer arc, and the Shadow Dragons. However, this series is lacking in all other departments. The likable characters that we liked in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball were no longer there because everybody was changed for the worst. Everybody from Goku down. But let's start with Goku himself, the main character. They turned him back into a little kid, and they made him annoying, and it's very awkward to look at this guy because you know he's a grown man, you know he's married, you know he's a father and a grandfather, but here he is trapped in a little kid's body acting like a child. And I'm like, why? After everything that we seen Goku go through, we already saw him as a little kid in Dragon Ball. He grows up to become a man and a strong fighter, only for them to downgrade him and turn him back into a child and make him extremely annoying. Now his granddaughter, on the other hand, Pan, is more annoying than he is. I can't stand her in this show. I mean, I don't like any other characters except for maybe Piccolo. Piccolo barely appears in this series. We see him like 3 or 4 times and then he's killed off for no reason. Vegeta is more of a family man. He really doesn't do much. They gave him a mustache and they cut his hair. I mean, come on. Seriously, they just messed up Vegeta's trademark look. All the other characters like Tien and Yamcha, they don't even appear to the end of the series and they don't say a damn thing at all. Gohan doesn't do shit. Yes, he tries to fight, but he gets his ass whooped. Krillin, he doesn't do anything. He's more of a family man. He gets his ass handed to him by Super 17. And while we're on the subject of Super 17, I loved that concept. That was one of my favorite parts of the GT series. Somehow in hell you had Dr. Gero and Dr. Mew creating their own versions of Cyborg 17 or Lapis, and they fused together to make Super 17, and somehow he becomes strong enough to destroy damn near every Z fighter in that show, minus Goku, because you know how it is. The GT stands for Goku's time. That's a long running joke there. I like the Baby arc as well, because Baby in himself is a good concept, because he takes over people's bodies through the cuts on their bodies. So he took over Goten, he took over Gohan's body, he took over Vegeta's body, and became powerful as hell with the help of Bulma creating that machine to make him into a Golden Ozaru. But when you look at Baby as a whole, you'll find out that his backstory is probably the most interesting thing about him. He's the last of his race, the Sufurujins, who was at war with the Saiyajins. The Saiyans destroyed his whole entire race. So when you look at him, you really think that he might not be the villain in this whole thing. He's just trying to avenge his people and get revenge on the last remaining Saiyans to wipe out their race, just like the Saiyans did to him. And that's very interesting when you look at it from that way. We move on to the Shadow Dragon arc, which is the last part of this series. We find out that the Dragon Balls have both positive and negative energy, and the more you use the Dragon Balls, the more that negative energy goes up. The way that they say it is, when you use the Dragon Balls, you should wait 100 years later to use them again, and we know that the Z Fighter sure as hell didn't do that. So the Dragon Balls cracked and it spawned an evil dragon Shenlong, who then spawned into 7 evil dragons. And I like that concept a lot. I love the arc, but there's a lot of good ideas that just were not executed well, because a lot of the dragons are forgettable, with the exception of Nova, Ice, and Sen or Omega Dragon Shenlong. Either one. Another good idea that they had was Goku unlocking another form, the Super Saiyajin 4 form. This one is confusing as hell, because I have no idea how they obtained this form. Goku just grew back his tail, he looked at the earth and transformed into the Golden Ozaru, and then he ended up being a Super Saiyan 4. I have no idea what the hell happened there. Vegeta turned into it only because of a machine, which was heartbreaking, because I'm like, come on. Vegeta allows a machine to help him obtain more power. This is a guy who refused to train with his own son. He wanted to attain his power through his own might, through his own ability. So to see him become a hypocrite and use a machine to obtain power, I couldn't take that one. We did get to see the return of Gogeta in Super Saiyan 4 form, but I have to tell you, this is where the likable characters goes out the window. Though I like the fact that he was kicking Omega Dragon Shenlong's ass and handing it to him, he was just too childish. He was too childish, the confetti and all the stupid shit that he was doing. I was like, come on, be serious. This is a complete total opposite from the Gogeta that we saw in movie 13, Fusion Reborn, or Fukasu no Fusion. Gogeta fooled around too much, causing the fusion to wear off and leading to a very predictable and underwhelming finish, as Goku uses a universal spirit bomb to destroy Omega Dragon Shenlong. All in all, even though GT has some good ideas, it just felt hollow for me. It just didn't satisfy me as a Dragon Ball fan. It just wasn't a good series. I'm in that group of people that hate it. Now, I haven't finished watching Dragon Ball Super yet because it's not over, but I will give my thoughts on it up to this point. Dragon Ball Super has its positives, but it also has its fair share of negatives as well. So let's talk about the positives first. Goku and Vegeta get to achieve forms beyond the power of a Super Saiyan 3, as Goku achieves the Super Saiyan God form, and they both achieve the Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan God with the power of a Super Saiyan. Huge tongue twister, so I'll just call it a Super Saiyan God 2. Super has a lot of nostalgia and a lot of creativity to all its arcs, as we get to see the returns of Frieza as he takes another shot at trying to defeat Son Goku. We got to see the return of Future Trunks as he makes time travel even more confusing than it already is. We got to see him achieve a new form, and we got to see how dark and bleak his future has really become. And for those fans who wish they could see an evil version of Goku, we got that here. We got the appearance of Goku Black, and we got to see him destroy all of Future Trunks' timeline, even killing Future Bulma along with it. So Trunks is now an orphan, and that sucks. Like seriously. We also got to see the creation of an evil Kai named Zamasu, who is an apprentice Supreme Kai. He becomes corrupted and wants to destroy Son Goku because Goku defeated him with ease, without even powering all the way up. So we got to see a concept like that. Also, what has not been very common in the world of Dragon Ball, we got to see Goku himself get defeated by a god of destruction, Beerus, as he's far more powerful than Goku, and he takes Goku out with one chop to the back of the neck, even after Goku powered up to his Super Saiyan 3 form. And it was nice to see Goku actually struggle against somebody, because we have not seen that since the fight against Frieza on planet Namek. We also got our fair share of adventures, as Goku, Vegeta, Bulma, they all get to take a trip to Future Trunks' timeline to try to fix things, which is what Future Trunks should have did in the first place when he went up against the Cyborgs. Why didn't he just train with Goku? Goku could get stronger, and he could have just took Goku to his timeline and had him destroy the Cyborgs instead of going through the whole thing that we went through. That would have helped a lot, don't you think? We also got to see different universes, and the Z Fighters take on the most powerful guys from each universe in a huge tournament, as we're getting to see now the Universal Tournament coming up, as we got to see female Broly, as everybody's calling her, because there's a chick in there right now, this timid little girl that looks like she can't hurt a fly. All of a sudden she goes freaking Hulk on us. I mean, she goes to Thing from Fantastic Four and just gets these huge bulging muscles and has hair just like Broly. I was like, holy shit, what the hell happened there? I mean, what did she put in her bowl of cereal this morning? How much steroids did she put in there? It was awesome. I gotta check that out. It just started, so I can't comment on that yet because I don't know anything about it. We get to see character developments once again, as we see Krillin go back to being the fighter we knew him as, even shaving his head bald, just like we remember him. And that was awesome. I know that I made Kid Trunks the #1 most hated character in Dragon Ball Z on my top 10 list, but Super has actually given him a personality, and he's no longer the annoying little brat that I thought he was. I actually enjoy the scenes that he's in, and it's a lot of fun to watch him, you know, when he gets jealous of Mai because Mai likes Future Trunks, and Trunks is dating Mai, or they got something going on in Trunks' future timeline, which is weird considering Mai is like doubled his age. I mean, it's kind of weird there, but it is cool to see Trunks actually doing something. I'm talking about Kid Trunks. We get to see his father as well. Vegeta has become an all-around good guy, because there was a scene in Future Trunks' timeline where he sees a couple of scared kids because they were scared of Goku because they thought he was Goku Black. Vegeta pulls out a capsule and it's full of food, and he feeds those children, and I'm like, wow, Vegeta's become a really good guy. I enjoyed that too. Dragon Ball Super is a good series altogether, but it does have its negatives, and I will get into that right now. First of all, the animation of the show is not up to par. Even with GT looks better than this series, and I'm like, damn, looking at them side by side, GT, Z, and Dragon Ball all have better animations. You look at Goku looks like somebody let all the air out of his muscles. He looks really skinny. I just don't like the design. But there are some scenes where it's passable and it's great. If you can get past that and enjoy the great story, it's great. Another negative thing about this series is I can't help but feel when I'm watching Dragon Ball Super, I feel like there's a lot of concepts that they just pulled out of thin air just to advance the story, such as Future Trunks learning the Genki Dama or the Spirit Bomb, whichever one you want to call it, even though he's never seen Goku ever use that attack ever in his life. How the hell did he somehow learn a technique that King Kai taught Goku? Trunks wasn't even thought of. That was something that got me. He also learned the Mafuba, or the Evil Containment Wave, the attack that Master Roshi used against King Piccolo back in Dragon Ball, just by looking at a stupid videotape of Piccolo attempting to do it. I felt like it was rushed. Another concept that they pulled out of thin air was the whole fusion thing, because we got to see the return of Vegito. After a long time, he was only in 1 or 2 episodes, and he finally makes his return. And they said the whole thing about this fusion, the Potara fusion, being permanent. they took a concept to where they can unfuse. I don't know how they came up with it, but they said if you're not a god, it doesn't apply to you. So that might explain how Vegeta and Goku defused when they were inside Majin Buu's body, but that's another thing that they just pulled out of thin air. One more negative thing that we got to see, at least to me, I feel is negative, is we got to see the return of that god-awful Great Saiyaman, that cheesy superhero that Gohan goes into. Now, the good thing about it is at least this guy fights. That's all I was begging for, is for Gohan to go back and at least attempt to fight again. At least this was somewhat what I wanted, but I didn't want to see him come back as that. I mean, the good thing is we got to see him train with his father and fight against his dad. You know, even though Chi-Chi got pissed off because they destroyed a lot of stuff around there, it was nice to see that. Also, Pan is not annoying anymore. She's just a cute little baby that's just a baby. We don't have to hear Grandpa, 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 Grandpa Goku. We don't have to hear that shit, you know, like it was in GT. So I actually can tolerate her. Good job, Toriyama. All in all, Dragon Ball Super is a great series. If you can get past all the negative things I just named, it's 10 times better than GT. Take my word for it. And that's it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed going down memory lane with me as I talked about all the Dragon Ball series. I hope you get the same nostalgia that I get, the same happiness, joy, and laughter that I've enjoyed growing up with this series. If you like what you heard, you can check out the rest of the videos on my channel, KC the Most, where I have a lot of top 10s. I just put up a new video of my top 10 least favorite Mortal Kombat fatalities. You guys might want to check that out because I enjoyed making it and I think you'll enjoy watching it. You can also check out part 6 of my Let's Play of Metroid Fusion. If you enjoy a lot of Metroid and Samus Aran, you will enjoy it. You can also check out my Facebook page by the same name, KC the Most. You can catch me on Twitter at MostKC, which you can tell me what you think of my videos. You can also catch me on Tumblr by the same name, KC the Most. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll check you out later. Peace.